Hello, Lynn Watts here from Wyatt the Wonder Dog Books. And today I want to talk about the power of reflection. And what I mean by that is the power of reflecting back over our past, and in particular over any goals that we've set, how we've performed, all of that kind of thing. All right. So you can find lessons on reflection because I think this is such an important part of what we should be doing as counselors. You can find it in my volume 2 of my elementary school counselor's book of lesson plans. I've got a whole lesson on looking back, reflecting on the year and how to do that. And I've also got a lesson in my small group guide. And it also, in a slightly different way, has students reflect back on not just the group, but helping them reflect on goals they've set, intentions that they've set, and that sort of thing. I'm going to talk a little bit more about how you might want to do that. But what I would really recommend if you're interested in looking for this kind of lesson plans, you could certainly buy the books individually on my website, which links to Amazon, or you can get the School Counselor Combo Pack, which also includes the Stories to Learn by book. It has lesson plans for all of the Wyatt picture books. So it makes a nice package, and it's certainly the best value is to get all 3 of these books together. Let me see if I can hold them up so you can see Stories to Learn by, Small Group Guide, and then the lesson plan book. You can get all 3 of those as a package, a combo package, which is only available like that on my website. So I'd encourage you to go there, wyattthewonderdog.com, and check that out. So let's talk about reflection and why that's so important. I think as counselors, many times we spend a fair amount of time talking to students about setting goals and how to set goals. And I've certainly talked about that in other videos. And we tend to do that, of course, at the beginning of the school year, perhaps in January, when we everybody's sort of setting resolutions and goals and so on. But the key is, well, there's 2 keys really. One is how you go about accomplishing the goals. Sometimes I think we just set goals and think they happen magically, and we don't give students enough tools for how to evaluate and measure and move forward on those goals, how to set milestones and so on. But I think the other thing that we don't do is we don't set an end date and reflect back on those goals. So both of the books that I've already mentioned have really effective ways to do that, and have activities and lesson plans on reflection. But one of the key things that I think that we need to teach is developing a system of reflective questions that we can ask at a certain point, and being prepared to do this. Quite honestly, as I talk about this, you're going to be thinking, hey, I could do that myself. And it's true. This is a good strategy, a good technique to teach children, but it also, just like many of the things that we teach kids, we hope that they will then develop it into a practice as they become adults. So one of the things that, or in terms of reflection in the small group guide, is a series of questions that students can ask, not just about the group, but that they can ask each day, that each day as they kind of look at their day at the end of the day, these are some of the things they can ask. So I'm going to give you some examples. Obviously, these are a lot of questions and they cover a lot of territory in a lot of different areas, but you could certainly have a student just take the ones that are most relevant to perhaps what they're focusing on, what they're working on, what they're trying to change, what they're trying to improve, and that sort of thing. So a good question just for starters is, what was my goal for today? And is that same goal every day, or does it change a little bit, or there's some sort of ways that I vary that? The second question, which follows from that, of course, is what progress did I make? All right. And then there are some other questions that are a little more philosophical or perhaps a little more counseling oriented. One is, how did I create my own meaning? In other words, this doesn't have to be, as I say in here, real philosophical. It may simply mean what was my focus? Was I trying to be, more social? Was I trying to focus on, perhaps practicing some good habits, academically, maybe physically? Where was my focus? Where did I create meaning? Another one that I think that we can help students with is, did I choose to be happy? Um, and I think the key word here is choose. You don't have to necessarily use the word happy. You could have calm or content, or there are lots of different, perhaps, goals that someone might have for their emotional well-being. But the choosing is the part that I think we need to focus on. And then, of course, we go from that to how did it turn out? And if it did not turn out well, how could I turn that around tomorrow? So it's looking at um, that intention or that goal, and then looking at what do I need to change or do differently. Um, I think another important reflection that someone could look at on a daily basis, depending on if this is a goal, would be, did I build positive relationships today with my family, with my friends, with my classmates? We can fill in the blank again. And what did I do that was kind? What did I do that was helpful? So again, kind of looking at what are the characteristics that fit into this goal, not just yes or no, but what did that look like? All right. And then finally, the last one, simply, was I engaged and present? Another way to look at this is, was I focused? Did I give all my attention to what I was doing at the moment? So some good questions for reflection. You can certainly vary those, but I think the more that we teach students to take some time, perhaps at the end of the day, perhaps at the end of the week, to reflect back over how things have gone for them, and not just keep this striving, pushing, always trying to get better, but rather to look at the past and learn from the past. We are teaching them some very important skills, some critical thinking skills that are going to be very useful to them as adults. So I hope you find that helpful. And thanks as always for the very meaningful work that you do with young students. And thanks for listening.